think we will uh, open up the floor for questions. I would request Shabnam, my colleague. Is Shabnam listening?
Yes, George, I'm here.
Yeah, so maybe you can just moderate the questions. Are there any questions in the chat box?
There are no questions right now,
Are there
but
any
I think
comments?
we had somebody who was, who had hearing impairment,
Yeah,
Tina, and she kept saying that, can we keep the caption on? I mean, we haven't
yeah,
done this before, and I think
yeah.
it came
So,
in a
so
little later,
yeah,
and we're
so
sorry about that.
yeah. So I think um,
Dr. Anil Kumar has a
Anil has
question.
a
yeah.
yes.
गुड इवनिंग सर एंड मैडम। बहुत ही अच्छा और बहुत ही सिंपल लैंग्वेज में मैम आपने आरपीडब्ल्यूडी एक्ट को बताया, बहुत ही अच्छा लगा। मैम, आई एम फ्रॉम एसडी पब्लिक स्कूल पीतमपुरा, तो वी हैव ए इंक्लूसिव यूनिट देयर।
Yes, yes.
तो काफी एसोसिएशन और एजुकेटर से जुड़ा हुआ हूँ, तो काफी एक क्वेश्चंस आता है कि जैसे आपने एक लास्ट में बताया कि जो ड्रॉप आउट होता है, उस
जी,
ड्रॉप आउट का जो रीजन मुझे लगता है, जस्ट आई वांट टू आस्क कंफर्म कि जो बच्चों जो करिकुलम है उसका डिफिकल्टी लेवल बढ़ता जाता है और उन बच्चों की जो एबिलिटी है वो उस टाइप की नहीं होती कि वो उस करिकुलम के साथ एडजस्ट कर पाए, एकोमोडेट कर पाए इजीली। और हमारी पॉलिसीज हैं, या हम सीबीएसई को देखें या स्टेट गवर्नमेंट की किसी एजुकेशनल एजेंसी को देखते हैं, तो वहाँ कोई ऐसी मॉडिफिकेशन ऑफ करिकुलम लाइक कि सब्जेक्ट्स में किस तरह से इवेल्युएशन करना है, किस तरह से हम उनके सब्जेक्ट्स को चेंज कर सकते हैं, खासकर एलिमेंट्री एजुकेशन में, तो वो कहीं मेंशन नहीं है। और मुझे लगता है ये कहीं ना कहीं गैप है जो उन बच्चों को ड्रॉप आउट करने के लिए कहीं मजबूर करता है। तो व्हाट डू यू थिंक अबाउट दिस?
absolutely, sir. I totally agree with you. That is one of the reasons. The new education policy now, firstly, the law also talks about it, so it's something we can advocate for. The new education policy is also, talking about now different streams of education, and it's talking about a lot of choice in education for in the secondary education, choice of subjects, and there are many new uh, agencies on the anvil. Abhi, according to the new education policy, there are, for example, there is a new agency called Parak, which is going to look at assessments. Yeah, how assessments happen of students and learning levels. And all the policy does say that it will look at, it will consult all the national institutes, and when it is trying to work out how assessments should happen. This is something that we have to actually audit now. ये हो रहा है कि नहीं? I think जो आप कह रहे हैं, the adaptation and changing of curriculum is also talked about in the law. पर ये इसको अब हमें देखना है कि कैसे ये implement होगा. So absolutely agree with you. Although I do feel that there are many other reasons also, sir, for dropouts.
Yeah, Radhika, I just like to ask you a question,
Yes.
which is, to accommodate people with disability, blind children or deaf children or other kinds of disability into the education system. A lot of adjustments are made, a lot of changes in curriculum is made, a lot of changes in examination systems are made. Even the standards, the quality standards are kind of altered. Does it really interfere and dilute the objectives of education? Because after education, you're looking at employment. So people who pass out of our education system, the children with disability who pass out of our education, does does the law kind of compel schools and educators to make sure that at the end of the education term that these children are ready for the next stage of life?
All the various, the things that the law says, and because it has looked at all various aspects of education, should ensure that the student is prepared, um, the way I see it, George, is that actually what is required, rather than diluting, looking at it as a dilution, we have to think now more in terms of accommodation and adaptation. And that should be there, is something that needs to be there for a whole lot of students. So the whether, so if all conditions were good, and they are not, and we had all the things that the law has now put out, then we would certainly have students who were ready for the next stage. But clearly, our data is telling us that we are not even going to the secondary stage. And therefore, this transitioning from the elementary to the secondary stage is where one big barrier is. And we need to look at the whole range of factors that are there that are preventing students from going into secondary education. So that's what I'm trying to say here is the law has given us a very nice picture. It has given us those rights, but as far as our implementation and as far as our education system is concerned, we are far, far behind. And therefore, that's the work that we all have to do now at this point of time, because we've got the law.
Right. Yeah, Shabnam, any other question?
Yeah, we have a question from Shobhan. I don't know if I've spelled that correctly, pronounced that correctly. Shobhan says that my 8-year-old daughter who has a physical disability in her leg, they do not have the disability certificate because she's still under treatment. Her question is that, at lunch break at school, she's left all alone in the classroom and even sports period, also in the sports period. So what should I do in this case? She wants to know.
So that is exactly what thank you for sharing this. That's exactly what this is what we call discrimination. Yeah, so and I want to share with you that the law, please look at the RPWD Act. It does talk about the student not, having an equal participation in sports and recreational facilities. This kind of thing that the child is not to go. Instead, they have to make strategies in the school so that she can go and be with others in uh, the when they are having lunch. This is commonly something that commonly happens, and we have to look at it. If we interpret the law, this would be discrimination. So, ma'am, you can actually, I would start with the school. I would start with actually going to writing formally to the principal. And if nothing happens, I would go to the disability commissioner. We do have the commissioners, and these are the things that we need to finally, otherwise children become very isolated. So this is what is discrimination. And that's what the law forbids. So you can advocate.
Yeah, Shabnam.
Mamta, you have a question? Please go ahead.
Yes, good evening, ma'am. Thank you for the wonderful session. आपने इतनी easy language हम लोगों को ये RPW Act बताया. It's easy to learn. Ma'am, I'm working in a primary school in Delhi. और मैं जो situation face कर रही हूँ, like we are working in primary MCT school. तो हम लोगों के साथ ये face करना पड़ता है हम लोगों को कि हम लोग we are special educators and we don't have any other speech therapy or therapy support is not there.
Yes.
CM sir is saying कि हम लोग resource center set कर रहे हैं and all, but we are not getting that facility. Like I have one student with the Duchenne muscular dystrophy.
Yes.
So I need कि उसको एक therapy मिलनी चाहिए and after that he मतलब speech therapy, he needs the occupational therapy और फिर उसके बाद वो special education पे है. So I am not able to do that OT and ST. तो मैम आपने जो बोला कि रिसोर्स सेंटर्स सेटअप होना चाहिए, तो आप मतलब इसको कुछ हाईलाइट कर सकते हैं कि लाइक हम लोग इसको कैसे, मैं अपने स्टूडेंट को कैसे हेल्प कर सकती हूँ लाइक?
जी मैम, the resource center, of course, I know in Delhi also they've been talking about it and it's not happened. The law says that there should be these resource centers. Now we have to ask for them in Delhi because we have a law that says even the policy is saying that these resource centers should be there. But what we really need is that teachers like yourself, ma'am, जैसे ममता आपके लिए कि एक सपोर्ट होना चाहिए, थेरेपिस्ट होना चाहिए, स्पीच थेरेपिस्ट होना चाहिए, चाहे वो रिसोर्स सेंटर में पूरे दिन ना रहें, बट दे नीड टू बी देयर टू सपोर्ट दिस चाइल्ड, कि आप उसे कैसे बैठाएंगे, आप उसे कैसे सपोर्ट देंगे, आप उसे कैसे, ये चीज टीचर्स, ऑल टीचर्स, रिसोर्स टीचर्स एंड जनरल टीचर्स जो हम बात करते हैं, they need to be supported by other professionals. And this is something that we have to really ask for, कि एक therapist, maybe a physio और occupational therapist, मैम आप कोशिश कर सकते हैं कि आप पूछ सकते हैं कि उनकी आपको राय मिले for this particular child, because he has muscular dystrophy, and you will need seating advice, you will need advice कि वो अपना पेन कैसे पकड़े, उसको सीट कैसे करें, उसको कब लेटाना है, all these things you will need to know. So teachers, we have to work that teachers, कोई भी teacher अकेले सब चीज नहीं कर सकता है. We all understand and know that. So we have to ask for all the other professionals that are there, the habilitation and rehabilitation professionals who need to support the teacher, and तभी ये काम हो सकता है. Maybe also the students के जो माता पिता हैं, वो भी इसमें थोड़ी अगुवाई कर सकते हैं.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, I want to add one thing. अभी डायरेक्टर ऑफ एजुकेशन ने 31 रिसोर्स सेंटर स्टार्ट किए हैं, जिसमें से इनिशियली अगस्त या सितंबर में 14 जो हैं वो रन होंगे. मान लो उनके अंदर ऑक्यूपेशनल थेरेपिस्ट, स्पीच थेरेपिस्ट, साइकोलॉजिस्ट और ये सारे के सारे प्रोफेशनल हैं, हायर कर चुके हैं मान लो गवर्नमेंट. आई थिंक इनिशियली दे विल स्टार्ट.
Excuse me, sir, Anil sir. Sir, actually, I'm working in primary school, so it's for DOE schools or the
DOE नहीं है वो. They are planning to give the service to EWS and जो disadvantaged category जो है प्राइवेट स्कूल की, उनको भी सर्विसेज देने के लिए बात हो रही है.
ओके. एक्चुअली सर प्राइमरी स्कूल में तो वही स्टूडेंट्स आते हैं जो लोअर बैकग्राउंड से हैं, तो मैं पेरेंट्स को भी नहीं बोल सकती कि वो प्राइवेट सेशंस दे सकें.
सबके लिए हो रहा है स्टार्ट.
Oh, sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
I think in states like Delhi, there is a big issue is this whole thing of the Department of Education schools, the MCD schools. The MCD schools are the larger number of schools who have many of our students going there. And there is a difference in the way many of the things that happen with the DOE don't always happen with MCD. Like we see special educators are not there in MCD schools, whereas most DOE schools today have them. So these are issues, very Delhi-based issues that we need to look at. But ये resource centers अगर खुलते हैं ममता जी, you should be able to get. Otherwise, of course, we are there to support you, Mamta, at a very different level. We can always support with this particular child.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. Thanks a lot, Anil sir.
On the subject of resource centers, in your experience, what have you kind of seen in other states of India, Radhika?
George, in 2016, we did a study in 6 states of India. We were looking at education and students with disabilities. And even in the very good states of Karnataka, also looked at Bengal, we found that the resource centers were really not functional. So the spaces were there, but they were not, and students had to go to the resource center. You know, a resource center, I think that's another issue, that the parent was taking the student to the resource center rather than the school taking the responsibility for the resource to come to the child in the school. And so what we have seen over the years, that earlier there were some of these things that were functional, and in states like Karnataka and all, very well they were happening, but there has been a rollback. And so now again the policy the policy has picked it up. So we should now audit and look to see whether resource centers are coming up or whether the resource centers that are there. One of the things that we were also saying could happen is the BRCs, the CRCs, not to make it separate all the time. Because when you're talking inclusion, you're talking of a range of ways of teaching for all children. And so if resource centers are there with the resource for all students, but we have the specific resource for students with disabilities, we might get better inclusion happening. That's just a suggestion that some of us have made.
Shabnam,
we have- Yes, sorry, George, go ahead.
Shabnam, any other questions?
Yes. Sharat Tripathi has his hand raised.
Yeah.
Sharat ji, please go ahead.
जी नमस्ते नमस्ते जॉर्ज सर
From Jaipur.
नमस्ते
Jaipur.
नमस्ते राधिका मैडम
Namaste.
जी दिस इज शरद त्रिपाठी फ्रॉम जयपुर राजस्थान तो मेरा छोटा सा ये था कि आज के सेशन में क्या हम हायर एजुकेशन को लेकर भी बात करने वाले हैं या उसके लिए हम आगे से सेशन प्लान करेंगे तो एक तो ये था दूसरा ट्रांसपोर्टेशन वाला जो पार्ट था वो शायद मैं मिस कर गया या उसको थोड़ा आप डिटेल में बता सकते हैं क्या उसके प्रोविजंस क्या रहेंगे फॉर दोज स्टूडेंट्स जो अफोर्ड नहीं कर सकते ट्रांसपोर्टेशन को ये एक विषय था बस दो चीजें मैं जानना चाह रहा था थैंक यू
शरद जी कानून में अगर आप सेक्शन 16 या 17 में 16 आई थिंक में लिखा गया है कि ट्रांसपोर्ट प्रोवाइड करना है और पर्टिकुलरली उन बच्चों के लिए जिन्हें हाई सपोर्ट नीड है जो अधिक विकलांग बच्चे हैं जिन्हें ज्यादा सपोर्ट की रिक्वायरमेंट है कानून अब ये कहता है आपको और हमको पता है कि अभी तक जो ट्रांसपोर्ट की जो प्रणाली थी वो एस्कॉर्ट अलाउंस है हमारे देश में है ना कि बच्चों को अलग अलग स्टेट्स में अलग अलग एस्कॉर्ट अलाउंस दिया जाता है ताकि और रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी अभी माता पिता पे है कि वो बच्चों को लाए जिनको एस्कॉर्ट अलाउंस भी मिल रहा है अब जो नई नीति आई है शिक्षा की नीति उसमें भी ये बात कही गई है कि RPWD एक्ट में जो भी कहा गया है उसे मान्यता दी जाए मेरे हिसाब से हमें आज ये अगुवाई करनी है कि ट्रांसपोर्ट बच्चों के लिए सेफ एंड एक्सेसिबल ट्रांसपोर्ट प्रोवाइड की जाए क्योंकि जब हम सिर्फ एस्कॉर्ट अलाउंस देते हैं तभी भी हम देखते हैं शायद आपका भी ये एक्सपीरियंस रहा हो कि माता पिता नहीं ला पाते हैं बच्चों को क्योंकि दोनों कामकाजी हैं या दूर रहते हैं या बहुत और जो इशू
The part about higher education.
Higher education, I did mention, George, that there is that 5% reservation and some relaxation in admissions that what they've talked about in higher education. Participation in adult education has also been talked about in the law. If you look at the chapter on special provisions for benchmark disabilities, it talks about higher education and the reservation that there has to be in higher education. But the question was also that whether we are discussing higher education. I'm open to that. I mean, we are all here to discuss together.
Right. I have a kind of a question, which is while Shabnam is looking for the next person, very often in special schools, especially in blind schools, after class 8, certain subjects, critical subjects are dropped, like mathematics, science, and so on. Even if the student wants to study it, they're discouraged. I believe probably because we don't have the resources in terms of teaching teachers or material or content to be able to communicate in accessible, understandable way to the blind student. And therefore, they are asked to kind of take alternative subjects, very often handicraft or music or whatever. So is that an illegal approach to, does it become illegal when we look at the RPWD Act?
I'm not sure about the illegality of it, but I would certainly say that now what the law says, what the policy is saying, that the students will have the right to choose from a whole lot of subjects, George. And they're talking about, I'm just giving you, what they're talking about, secondary education, that there will be an individualized choosing of subjects. And you can also choose subjects like physical education and, sports and other subjects. So each individual student will be able to choose different subjects that they want to study. Now, this is what the policy is saying, but the policy does not talk about special schools. The difficulty with special schools today is that even though now the law has, given it legal sanction, we have no policy. Our resources for special schools are extremely limited. So there is no thinking on the special school. And even though even the special schools that are functional within the departments of education, some, as you know, are supported by the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. And so what I'm trying to say here is, we at present do not have a good policy document or paper that says how do special schools function at par with other schools, and the range. And it also has to do with the training of teachers through the RCI, the Rehabilitation Council of India, which is extremely limited, as you know. So these are the issues we are facing, and the RCI Act has not been amended after the CRPD. I'm pointing out all the issues. You're asking me issues, and I'm giving you more issues.
So in other words, what you're saying is that the policy might dictate certain things, but on the ground, the capacity to deliver those policies as actual action might be missing.
Yes. What I'm saying is, for the special schools, there is no policy also, George.
Okay.
So I think that this is an area that needs particular thinking about, because a lot of blind students do go to special schools.
Yeah.
And special schools and opt to go to the special school, and according to the law, they have the right to do that now.
Yeah.
But if you have only 27,000 schools in the country that are not spread across the country, if you have the law just gives you that one line. It doesn't say anything more. So what I'm trying to say is, and there's no policy paper saying all the things that have been talked about in this new education policy, does it apply to the special school? That's a gray area. And that's the area that we have to raise our questions on. That there needs to be that policy. There needs to be those rules. There need to be those things. How will these schools function at par? At par. There has to be parity.
Yes.
So I think those are the questions we have to raise.
Right. Yeah,
so yes, there are 2-3 people who have a question. We have Mujtaba by the name of Mr.
Kane.
Yeah. Mujtaba, please go ahead and ask your question. If you're still here.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Good. Thank you so much for this session, and special thanks to Ms. Radhika for being there to give us a clear idea on the policy. I have a few observations and probably one question. The observations are to do with the statistics that you shared with us. Now, does this take into account special schools as well, or is just in mainstream education the number of persons with disability that are dropping out or that are currently availing the facility?
The data that we have from the UDICE, we've been looking, as you know, in education. One thing that is very good is that we've had this UDICE data that we can look at over the years, and now it's become UDICE Plus. Yeah, and in the data that I shared with you of falling enrollments, that was for all, not for special schools, but there is unfortunately, UDICE does not give us data on this numbers of students who are attending special schools. And we have not been able to find that data. If you look at, say, the annual reports of Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, or you look at UDICE, which is your source of data, you do not find that because I've been looking for that data. The data that we do have is that special schools that are there, the larger numbers are for the younger child. Yeah, they do not go up to secondary education. So a lot of students actually who are in special schools may have to drop out. That's my understanding after a certain class, because the school may not be going up to that, to school ending. That's what the data is showing us. That the larger numbers, as in the other schools, but this is what the data is saying about special schools.
Yeah, but I think when you look at blind schools, I think a lot of the blind schools go up to class 10 or even class 12 maybe. And it's a pity that the people who keep the data didn't consider it worthwhile uh, extending their coverage to the special schools.
Yes, so that is the other thing that we have to ask for from UDICE, because they've got the number of schools, but they don't tell us the number of students in the schools. And the movement from one school to another, for example, many students do go from a special school to a general school or vice versa. Especially, particularly in the developmental disability arena, we do see quite a bit of that. So those are the gray areas where we have only our experience. And I think with the new policy and this, what I want to say today is that there are a lot of plans being made in different states of the country to implement the new education policy. So in your state, look to see, we need to be able to impact that planning now. So actually this session is very important because at a state level, because everything does happen at a state level, we need to be able to impact the planning and to ask these questions. Although the policy does not talk about special schools, once again, I'm underlining that fact. Policy does not say anything about special schools, except for RPWD Act, many other things it talks about.
So, Mustafa, do you have any other question?
No, as I said, I also have a few observations here.
Yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Because this topic is so vast and complex, I understand that a lack of understanding of the act or not understanding the ground reality can lead to a lot of misses in being able to project the right picture. That's why I first wanted to understand from the statistics point of view, whether it encompasses the special schools also, or it's just the mainstream schools that the data is sourced from. Coming to which, my observation is that if the mainstream schools, they're not conducive to, they don't show that kind of conduciveness or that kind of factor that somebody with a physical disability would be able to seek their education from. By which I mean, like, lack of basic infrastructure, like a ramp. Okay, so I'm not going into more complex things like being able to have uh, persons with visual impairment integrated into mainstream. But a basic thing like a ramp, is not provided in these mainstream schools, which kind of makes it a very challenging infrastructure for somebody using a wheelchair to be able to, they can utilize all the other resources provided such accommodations are made. That's where you spoke about regional accommodation, but I don't find them to be very conducive. So your thoughts on that? And because this, you need policing to happen, at the ground level. And unfortunately, I don't think so. We have adequate resources to do the policing, and there is no way that we could take such institutions for a task. You know, that's my thoughts, my observation.
Um, I totally agree with you that we need policing. Schools are not conducive. Yes, I absolutely agree. I work with the school system and I do not see that they are conducive to our students. But the only thing I can say is that, we have to remember how we got the law. And the change will only come. The bad part is that we see law after law and policy after policy, and today our laws are quite, very much in line with the UN Convention. But if at the ground level, there's a big difference. Yes. So unless and until there is a demand for education, unless we build that demand for education for the student with disability and ask to use all the things that we have in the law today, the weapons that we have in the law today, unless there is that monitoring happening at the ground and at different state levels, and we are not going to get what we are talking about. Because the policy is also saying that everything should happen. The new policy is saying RPWD Act will be unequivocally accepted. But this is my understanding that unless and until there is policing and auditing from groups of people with disabilities, it's going to be unlikely that we are going to get big changes happen.
So you have this Ministry of Education, and there is a ministry. Don't you think they should do the auditing, the policing, and they should be responsible, held accountable for such misses in being able to provide an accessible infrastructure, like I said, the basic thing being the ramp. Then you would go to the restrooms or the cafeteria, or the accessible infrastructure. Like for example, I'm trying to talk to you from my perspective of the organization I work for. It so happens that the ramps that they have put into place are not specifically put into place because there are employees who use wheelchairs, but it has been put into place so that it can facilitate transport for these admin guys to take water cans and other trolleys and materials across. But that in turn also has been an aid to the infrastructure in terms of accessibility. Then we have lifts. Lifts are being used by everybody in the facility. So it's not an accommodation, it just goes there. And I guess it's just something that people overlook, like, okay, fine. If we don't have the lift, we can do with the stairs. But that's not the case here. And then the cafeteria, the arrangement of furniture, the restrooms, etc., etc. Later on, those things were made, accommodations were made. So you understand where I'm coming from?
Yes. I'm
So
only
yeah,
pointing out to you. Sorry, have you finished?
I can go on, but yes, for
No,
now,
no,
yes.
please go on. Please do go on.
No, as I said, it's a very complex topic, ma'am.
Sir,
I just
can I
want to.
ask one question? If you will allow me, this is Dr. Smriti. I teach at Delhi University, and I am myself disabled, but I have temporary disabled child. And I would like to know that, ma'am, it's first of all, we are very grateful to you because many topics we think upon and we come across and we do organize webinars and seminars and all those things. But what happens, like many things we don't take care. I just wanted to know that you give admission, you accommodate students, you do everything. But there are certain way discrimination happens in the school. When there is games period, when there is, when there is lunch time, these students are kept segregated, separated from their peer group. And that stops their development because my daughter, it sometimes becomes difficult to send her to school in this situation. So what do you say about it? Thank you so much.
I say you have to fight this. This is discrimination. This is absolutely clearly discrimination. That no child should be kept. And this, ma'am, this happens again and again and again. that the child is not allowed. So just to remind you that the section on education, I'm just saying this so that we can start using the law. The first thing it says is equal participation in sports and recreation. The section on education is taking cognizance because perhaps the people who made the law recognized that these are the ways in which students are discriminated. And I would really urge that, there was another speaker who spoke about the same thing. So just in a matter of 1 hour, we have two people saying children are made, to sit separately while eating food, while playing sports. So the law would be on your side. So if we all have to go through various steps. We go to the principal, to the teacher, and then further to our disability commissioner, or and we can file a complaint. Unfortunately, these are matters that we will have to advocate.
Sorry about that. George, can you make me a co-host so I can mute people while Radhika is speaking?
Yes, thank
Conked off, so I sort of went off.
Hey, you are a co-host, no?
No, my electricity conked off. I dropped
Okay.
off and I came back.
Okay.
Yes, Radhika ma'am, thank you so much. It was really pleasant to listen that we have tried our level best and we have been actively forcing school, and now it is locked down, but as soon as it will open, we'll try our level best to accommodate children like her in the school in all sorts of programs like eating lunch and together and playing together and everything. Thank you so much, ma'am.
The law says that environments that maximize inclusion. So the example that you're giving me, what has happened with your daughter, is exactly an example of an environment that does not maximize inclusion. And I'm sure you are very upset and angry, and I think we all have to be very angry at these things. And I know you have tried your best. I also am aware that it's very tough to make that change, but I think with each one change, we will, we will have to activate these. Finally, you have to go to court.
I'd like to add on to that, but in terms of
Sorry.
Mushtaba, can you say that again? Please unmute yourself. Yes.
Yeah, I was muted. So just to add on to that, I guess the challenge there is just not to do with the school authority. It's also to do with the teachers who need to have a mindset to educate the other students to involve the person in question, in these activities. Like for example, even me being visually impaired, I go out with my colleagues for lunch, and it's not like they leave me aside. And I guess they're more mature now, but these are kids. So at this age itself is the time to educate them, and to kind of
No, this sir, one thing I will I have kids are mostly, they would like to interact with any kind of kids whom they like,
correct.
And it happens generally like that I have seen, because I have been working for this area for quite long time, and unfortunately my daughter only has problem. So I have to work for other kids also. So I have seen kids like to interact, but it is stopped from the administration side, that don't take her down, don't go with her, she can be hurt, this will happen, that will happen. All those kinds of reservation come from the adults, not from kids. That is what I have observed. Yeah,
but that also possibly can be from a caring perspective, but let's not take the hostile thought always.
No,
So
since I have been managing
People
with
ask me
it
till
9
date,
years. Yeah.
Yeah.
till date, people ask me to not take the stairs because I'll fall down and break my head. I said, okay, I'll take care of it after I break my head. So, okay, fine. I understand your perspective also. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, actually, I understand, sir. It is from the caring perspective, but sometimes too much caring of adults restricts
Yeah.
child. And after parents is telling that, like being a parent and activist parent, I go and tell that let it be, let her fall down. It's okay. It's
Right,
that
right.
way,
Actually,
right?
actually, this protectionism not only restricts the growth of the child, even at a national level, protectionism impedes the economy. You know, like you protect, and that's what we realized with this all this license Raj and all protection. You know, things can move. So anyway, protection. Can we
Yes,
move on
we
to other
have-
questions?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
are
yeah.
waiting. We'll
Yeah.
just go to them. Chetan, please go ahead, ask your question.
Hello, ma'am. It was wonderful listening to your talk today. I'm Chetan from Bangalore. I have a question related to specific learning disabilities. Now, the RPWD Act, the guidelines for assessment, and even the amendment to the guidelines for assessment in 2019, it suggests that an enhanced SLD battery is something that has to be used nationwide in order to diagnose SLD. My question is, now by doing that, what are we doing to children from vernacular languages, from regional languages? Now, how do we sort of look at including children from all language backgrounds? So this is my question.
Yeah, that's a very important question. Thanks, Chetan. I think I don't have the answer, but I think what you have pointed out to us is really that whatever we teach in our country cannot be in one language, and therefore even in assessments and things like that, we will have to be able to translate or adapt to different languages. For example, even textbooks or even sign language and other languages have to be in different languages in our country, cannot be in one or two. So I don't have the answer to it. I can only say that it has to be across languages. It cannot be in one or two languages. And that's a challenge in our country, but it has to be done.
Thank you, ma'am. I have another follow-up question
Sure.
for this. Sorry. Now, how are we looking at individuals with learning disabilities in the higher education sector? Because mostly, whatever the law is there, the bill that is there, it's for children with specific learning disabilities. What about adults? What about children who graduate from 12th standard, who venture out to universities? What are the accommodations given at there? Because when we look at developmental disabilities, all of these are heterogeneous, and are there any specific accommodations for SLD in the higher education setup?
Well, SLD is more, some of the impairment groups are more recently, as you know, in the RPWD Act, they've been added. So there is still quite a bit of work to be done. For example, we have also students who have blood disorders, so there are many groups that have been added in 2016 to the law who have been recognized. And there is a lot of work to happen just in terms of understanding and putting together. And all, we have to also interpret the law. The law says reasonable accommodation. Yeah, so that has to happen for people across the education scenario, in higher education also, because these are things that are not happening. We have to now look to see whether there are actually guidelines coming, whether in assessments or whether there are, those kinds of things coming for higher education so that inclusion can happen. So, and that's a very wide and varied kind of, again, I would think much more at a state level that we would need to look and see.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, before I come to Dr. Anil, MK Mandalji, you can ask your question. Please unmute yourself.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry again. Just I want to give answer of SLD. When we are doing assessment, like there is a two parameter in there. One is intellectual, like intelligence assessment, and one is for educational assessment. जो intellectual assessment है, that can be possible in performance test. So there is no culture biasness. There is. In educational part है that they can do on informal assessment, and apart from they can use Nimans in their language. They can use their language, जैसे मैम ने बताया अभी. My question is, ma'am, nowadays, like because we are connected with ground level, we are working with students, children with special need in schools. So ये एक चीज देखने को आती है कि लाइक सपोज इन दिल्ली दैट वर्क इज गोइंग ऑन मेट्रोपॉलिटन सिटीज हैं, बट जो रूरल एरिया है उस रूरल एरिया में जो सर्विसेज हैं स्टूडेंट्स के लिए एक तो बहुत कम है, दूसरा जो प्रोफेशनल्स हैं वो उनकी जो ट्रेनिंग है, जितने भी इंस्टीट्यूट्स हैं अंडर आरसीआई और ये है, तो उनकी ट्रेनिंग कहीं ना कहीं इन्फ्लुएंस करती है बच्चों के होलिस्टिक डेवलपमेंट पे, कि उनकी जो प्रॉपर ट्रेनिंग नहीं है, दे आर नॉट अवेयर अबाउट दैट देयर करिकुलम आल्सो, दे आर नॉट अवेयर अबाउट द स्पेशल एजुकेशन, बट दे हैव डिग्री. तो बहुत बार ऐसे देखने को मिलता है. उसके लिए क्या एक पॉसिबिलिटीज हो सकती है मैम, गवर्नमेंट में क्या है कि क्या हो सकता है?
अभी जो अगर आप शिक्षा की नीति पढ़ेंगे तो उसमें टीचर ट्रेनिंग में बहुत बहुत कुछ बदलाव की बात की गई है. उसमें ये कहा गया है कि टीचर्स विल बी नाउ गो ऑन टेन्योर ट्रैक. उनको दे विल हैव टू डू अ सर्टेन लेवल ऑफ ट्रेनिंग, एटलीस्ट 50 hours, और दे विल बी ऑफ ट्रेनिंग इन द ईयर. They will be assessed. There's going to be a new body that will look at the assessment of teachers, because the policy is recognizing that there is a real lag in our training of teachers, and also जो मान्यता teachers को दी जाती है, as you know, teachers को कहीं कुछ और काम दे दिया जाता है. So many other things are there which we are all aware of. So I think again, you know, there are so many things that are being said. We have talked about teachers training. Now RCI, एक चीज है सर कि RCI has not changed since we got the UNCRPD. So जो अभी teachers training हो रही है, that is perhaps not in consonance with what we require in inclusive schools. And unless and until this training changes, and also very importantly, at least for resource teachers, they become a cadre of teachers. Because as you know, resource teachers across the country are on contract. They are not given the same conditions of teaching as other teachers, nor are they given the same amount of money. So their value in the system is much lower. I'm talking of resource teachers just now. So one of the big demands, if nothing else, and if we are going to have we need to look to see how many do you need. As you know, resource teachers often go to about 100 schools in our country. How can they teach? How are they supported to grow? It's not just doing a CRE from the RCI. So when you are, and they are not really part of the school system. So there are many, many of these issues that are there, and teachers need to be supported. So first thing we have to demand is that there is a cadre of teachers. Means they have the same levels of pay, of being able to move from one level to another. The RCI has to change. So we are when we talk education of students with disabilities, we actually face very structural issues. And what has happened is that we have to deal with those structural issues before we go to the froth, to the top, you know, to what we see around us. And to me, these are the crux of the matters today in education. So all these avenues of growth, if they were there, today now teachers will go for a 4-year integrated teachers training course before they become teachers, according to the new policy. And this policy is being implemented. So what we are demanding, we've just been working on a white paper. And one of the things that we are trying to say is that same thing should apply to the resource teacher. She should have that same opportunity of the training and worldwide and the newest knowledge coming and the supports. Support structures are equally important for teachers. We often blame, we often not blame, but we often feel if we train the teacher, everything will be all right. But we do know that it's a very vast and complex thing. And if she is not supported, if she has a child in her classroom and she doesn't know what to do, she should have somebody she can go back to and say, how do I deal? What do I do? How do I accommodate for this child? At present, we don't have those support structures, which we need to build. I hope I've answered your question.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. One simple question. Like you are connected with RPWD implementation, तो कितने साल लग जाएंगे एक गांव तक पहुंचने में RPWD? Because
Sir, ये तो आप,
right now
it is up to you and me. It is, you know, believe you me, let's not wait कि सरकार करेगी. It is up to you and me. RTE Act का मैं आपको बताऊं, because the RTE Act 10 साल हो गए. And I've been following the RTE Act very closely. 10 साल हो गए and only 12% of our schools are compliant with the law. So
क्योंकि normally I am actually right now I am in my village in rural area. तो हरियाणा का एक गांव है जिसमें I identified 21 students with specific learning disability or intellectual disability और इस तरह से. But they are not aware. Simply they are aware that how much pension will come to us. But otherwise they are not aware about different services like education है, vocational training है, pre-vocational training है. तो वो बहुत दूर लगता है ऐसे कि भी RPWD एक्ट कब पहुंचेगा वहां तक.
वो तो हमारे ऊपर है.
Yes, sure, ma'am.
So before the next question comes in, I just want to know, now the education is a state subject. The policy has been spelled out by the central government. Now, is there a uniform implementation or uniform understanding and implementation of this policy and the law across the country? Number one. Number two, the advocacy that's happening in the disability sector, is it all focused on the central government, or are there, in your experience and knowledge, adequate advocacy movements happening at the state level?
I think, yes, it is a state subject, and really the real advocacy has to happen at the state level. I understand that the policy that we've got has not really gone through parliament even as yet, but of course it's been accepted. So each state will do, you know, I understand Tamil Nadu has still not accepted the policy. I'm not clear on that, but this is what Poonamdi told me, that we still, you know, so each state will do their own thing and very differently. But the law, and see, there are schemes. Finally, how do we implement the law? And it all goes down to that scheme that you are making. So, yes, I think in different states, there are groups. I know you know, there are organizations working together. Maybe we have taken a little bit of a hit in the last few years. That momentum that the movement had built up seems to have dampened. And of course, this whole crisis that we are in, the humanitarian crisis, we are all struggling. Everybody's been struggling just to keep going, as well as, you know, DPOs, other organizations, and everybody's. So yes, it has taken a hit. Yes, it needs to be at the state level. Some states do have, Karnataka had a very strong thing, West Bengal, I know there's a group of organizations that works together. So, you know, which we were not able to do in Delhi. You know, everybody working together at least, and, you know, advocating together. So I don't know about all the states, but yes, there are, you know, I know, so different states will have different levels, but yes, it has to be done at the state level. At, you know, the central level is where the policy, for example, the government has come up with the Sarthak tasks. If If you know, there's a whole, under each chapter of the policy, the government has set tasks, and they have said dates, they have, this is the central government, the dates that they have set, and the bodies that are responsible for it. Yeah. So now, but each state will do it in its own way. So these are suggestive, for example. But the law, of course, has to be, is for everybody, you know, across. One big problem that I understood following RTE Act, which we will need to do, is how will we interpret this law? इस कानून को हमें interpret करना है. आपको और हमको बातचीत करनी है. The RTE Act became reduced to, this whole thing on barrier free and accessibility became reduced to ramp and rail. Yeah. So we need to think, what is reasonable accommodation? How is it going to be? It's not clear just now because the law is very new. Actually, a reasonable accommodation आपकी scheme में कैसे आएगा? Because it's individual. What kind of flexibility do I need in the ADIP scheme, for example, for reasonable accommodation to come for a student who needs a slight change in the chair? ADIP scheme में तो आपको ऐसा ही chair मिलेगा ना? You will get medium this thing and all, or a wheelchair.
Yeah.
So is there a resource? There is a lot of work for the disability sector to do just now. We have to say how, we have to think, what are the reasonable accommodations? How should it come? And then we have to advocate. It's a new field. Let's look at, that's why it's so important that all these terms, we have to start talking in these terms. So that's really what I think has to happen.
शबनम,
MK Mandal जी, आप प्लीज अपना सवाल पूछ लीजिए.
अरे अभी मंडल साहब ही पूछा था ना, या who was it who asked the question?
It was what is his name? Dr. Anil.
Dr. Anil.
Okay.
आप अनम्यूट कर लीजिए.
हाँ, मैंने अनम्यूट कर लिया. गुड इवनिंग मैडम. मेरा एक बेटा है जो 27 साल का है और वो सीपी विथ लेफ्ट हेमीपैरेसिस एंड लो विजन का किया है. मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है कि क्या आरपीडब्ल्यूडी में एक्ट में ऐसे कि रिहैबिलिटेशन के लिए कोई प्रोविजन है?
जी, रिहैबिलिटेशन के लिए भी आरपीडी में है. एक तो सीपी एज अ कंडीशन को रिकॉग्नाइज किया है सर, और दूसरा रिहैबिलिटेशन का इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं है, पर है कि रिहैबिलिटेशन सरकार ये देखेगी कि पुनर्वास की ऐसी संस्थाएं ये पुनर्वास करें. तो और अस्पतालों में हेल्थ के एरिना में भी बात की गई है कि सपोर्ट स्ट्रक्चर्स होने चाहिए, उनको लोगों को प्रेफरेंस देना चाहिए हेल्थ सेक्टर में. ये भी बात की गई है आरपीडी एक्ट पर. जी बोले.
एक डिस्क्रिमिनेशन मैं आपके सामने लाना चाहता हूँ
जी,
जो शायद बहुत लोगों को पता नहीं है कि पहले जो गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉइज थे उनके जो बच्चे थे दे वर eligible for family pension. After the demise of parents, these children lifelong they were had the cushion to get the family pension. But now the pension policy has changed. Newly that policy is NPS, National Pension Scheme, and in that there is no such provision. So that itself brings out a discrimination amongst the disabled person whose parents are under old pension system and whose parents are under new pension system. Is there any measure to fight, or rather?
Yeah, this question is outside the scope today. Would you like to take it, Radhika, or because we'd like to focus remain on education, number one. Number two, we are already
because Madam has not taken the side of the severe disability, because he is 80% disabled. So sir,
Yeah.
severe disability person, not of the education group. What is the measure? RPWD Act is given. That is what my question was. And
Sir,
to support
Yeah.
that specifically what I am facing, that's what I have as an example presented.
thank you, sir. I just want to say that in the RPWD Act, earlier in the earlier law, sir, we had this term severe disability, 80%
And now it is persons with
high support needs.
high support needs.
JJ. And in the education arena, they have spoken about transport and other things for persons with high support need. That's all. I mean, I'm just talking about education just now. And I personally totally, would like to say that I also work with students with disabilities and cerebral palsy, and I totally feel that, and that's been the work that I do, is that students who have high support needs have a right to education. And that's how my organization started. That's how I started working in this field, because when I started working, that's 35 years ago now, students with high support needs, nobody was accepting, not even the special schools. And I can, and so I totally understand what you're saying. And I do understand that what you're saying, that they are even more excluded than all the others. And they are often put into home-based education. That was the new clause that came in 2009 under the RTE Act. I'm just talking of education just now. So, and many of us, I would like to say here, fought against this clause coming in, because we felt this is not the right to education, that you put a child at home. You have to make all the efforts, many more efforts, to see that this child comes to school. And but we lost that fight. In fact, we had an in-fight in the disability sector only, sir. We had a meeting with Kapil Sibal at that point of time on this very question. So I'm just saying that I totally get what you're saying. And maybe, the question of pension and what has happened is clear discrimination, needs to be tackled, maybe through the law, maybe by looking at the law and by legal challenge.
Madam, who will initiate that? That's the question. Individually or as an organization or NGOs or somewhere?
So my submission, sir, is that when you feel the problem, if you don't do anything about it, nobody else will do anything about it in such a vast country. So I would suggest that you raise that issue at the Chief Commissioner and start the ball rolling. And if nothing happens there, go to the next level of the court. What do you say, Radhika?
I think, there may be other parents. And there are, also large parent groups in our country. Our country, the whole movement is started by parent groups. So maybe you can contact some of these parent groups. I'm sure they're all thinking of the same. I mean, this must be a very, very big issue.
Yeah, but I think you need to make the move.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
I think we will take two more questions if possible, and then close, because we are already close to 7.
Yes, I think in between we had Mamta's hand raised, but then she's not. Mamta, would you like to ask?
Mamta is giving me her contact.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, actually, I want to ask, it's a discussion. Like I'm working in primary school, government primary school. तो मैम यहाँ पे डिसेबिलिटी सर्टिफिकेट्स बनाने के लिए इतना इशू है कि लाइक मैंने अपने 2 स्टूडेंट्स का लाइक कंटिन्यूअसली 2 इयर्स हो गए, लाइक उनको जो मेरे को ट्रैवलिंग अलाउंस और या स्कॉटिंग अलाउंस उनके अकाउंट्स में क्रेडिट करना होता है डीबीटी सिस्टम में जो बेनिफिशियरी होता है, वो मैं नहीं कर पाई हूँ ड्यू टू लैक ऑफ दैट डिसेबिलिटी सर्टिफिकेट. एक्चुअली दे डोंट हैव दैट डिसेबिलिटी सर्टिफिकेट, तो उनको मैं वो क्रेडिट नहीं कर पाया एंड वी हैव टू रिफंड दैट अमाउंट. तो मतलब यहाँ पे कुछ फ्लेक्सिबिलिटीज होनी चाहिए डिसेबिलिटी सर्टिफिकेट के लिए, लाइक मोर ऑफ हॉस्पिटल्स नियर बाय द एरियाज, लाइक वो उन लोगों को इतना दूर पड़ता है या कुछ इस तरह का प्रॉब्लम होता है और वो वहां जाते तो गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल्स में फंस जाते हैं, तो ये इश्यूज बहुत होते हैं। तो मैम इसका कुछ क्या सोल्यूशन हो सकता है? लाइक गवर्नमेंट ने कैंप ही ऑर्गेनाइज किया, देयर वर साइकोलॉजिस्ट, देयर वर ओटीज, देयर वर स्पीच थेरेपिस्ट, तो एक इनफॉर्मल असेसमेंट तो है बट नो यूज, बिकॉज at the end of the session we don't have that disability certificate. Again those students miss those amount और मुझे फिर वो क्रेडिट मैं नहीं कर पाई this session also.
Ma'am, at a very personal and organizational level, I can say to you that you can call our helpline. I will give you the number, and we can facilitate, because yes, it's a problem. The disability certificate, there've been big campaigns, and there were some time ago there were guidelines that were issued. Actually, it should be the school's responsibility to get the certificate or to facilitate the certificate. The school can do a lot, but I don't think that happens. But the people need to know कहाँ जाना है, कैसे करना है, कौन से डॉक्यूमेंट्स चाहिए. इस तरह का इंफॉर्मेशन आपको पब्लिक डोमेन में नहीं मिलेगा, पर हमारी जैसी संस्थाएं, जैसे जॉर्ज की भी एक हेल्पलाइन है, आप हमारे हेल्पलाइंस में कॉल करें. एटलीस्ट इन दिल्ली वी कैन सपोर्ट.
थैंक्स अ लॉट मैम.
Excuse me, everybody.
Who's that? Nitin.
This is Nitin Sharma.
Yes.
मैम एक बात बोलना चाहता हूँ. ये जो मैम अभी थे, आई एम वर्किंग एज ए स्पेशल एजुकेटर इन प्राइमरी स्कूल, तो मैं भी कुछ हेल्प कर सकता हूँ अगर बच्चों का मेडिकल सर्टिफिकेट ऐसा कुछ नहीं बन रहा है तो.
ममता जी.
Sure sir, please exchange your contact number, then I can contact you. Or
Nitin, you can put your contact number on contact number or email ID on the chat box so that then Mamta can take it.
Email
okay,
ID, email ID. You can put on the email ID.
Ma'am, please note it down now. Nitin.
Yes, sir. Ma'am, you can go on.
Yeah, somebody else. Somebody else has to ask.
Bhumika Trust wants to ask a question. Somebody from Bhumika Trust.
Yeah, Jen Singh Raghav. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So hi everyone. So good evening, George.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am. So as you talked about the higher education. So I think I just missed it, or we didn't talk about the mentioning of the inclusiveness of the colleges, of the universities, of the research centers at the higher education or the adult or the senior education levels.
The law, I was basically sharing what the law says, and the law, of course, does talk about reservation, and the law talks about relaxations. In higher education, there are the law doesn't say much more. Yeah. So, I mean, if we are talking about what the law says, this is what it says on higher education. It talks about the inclusive education that it talks about, is more to do with the school education, the definition of inclusive education, system of education that it talks about, which does not mean that in higher education that there should not be any inclusion or inclusive education. So I think that's a very important point you've raised, and I have to study it a little bit more.
So this relaxation that you talked about, or accommodation that you're talking about, includes things like scribes, extra time, equal opportunity cells in university. All that is probably a kind of result of the reasonable accommodation clause in the law, I guess.
Yes, I mean, of course, that has been there for quite some time.
Yeah.
The law is new. I mean, these terms and the us using accommodations, that is relatively new. But some of these relaxations have been there for a long time in the universities.
Yeah.
I think the question that even what Jayant is saying, you see, there are many more students now who will enter universities, hopefully.
That's correct.
Yeah? Many more people with disabilities, different impairment groups will enter, should enter to higher education. And therefore, higher education needs to make all the accommodations. There were these schemes, but now a lot has changed, and I'm not up to date so much with higher education. I can't answer with great certainty to you, Jayant, but all the things that the law says, I mean, the terms and these things should be applicable in higher education too.
Definitely, ma'am. No issues, ma'am. In that regard, I'm already working on this higher education. So no issues with that.
Maybe you could share some things with us.
Ma'am, a lot of things in the University of Delhi. I'm now a graduate from the University of Delhi itself. So I've worked on lots of things at my college level, university level. Either it's related to infrastructure accessibility or assistive devices, or equal opportunity cells, or those cells which were dead almost, which were not functional. They were now being made functional. Now the meetings are being held. Now the talks are being done. Events are being done. So lots of initiatives have been done in University of Delhi in the last 2 to 3 years. Now the Chief Commissioner also, what are the cases that I took it up? Now the Chief Commissioner for Persons with Disability, this 16th of March itself is issued an order on the central universities of the country of India to abide by the recommendations that we gave it to the college and the university to abide by them.
Wonderful. So that just shows us what one person or a group of people can do.
But it was only me who did it, and
one person.
Yeah, that's
great. That's great. More power to you.
Thanks.
So, Shabnam, any more, or shall we?
No more questions, George.
Yeah. So I think Radhika, we've taken 2 hours of yours, and thank you so much. It's been very informative, and I think what we take away from today is that I think we need to read and study the law, and and kind of exercise our rights within the law, and education is a very important part of the nation building, and people with disability are very much part of the nation and India's tomorrow. So I think education for the disabled people is as important. Thank you very much. And I'd like to just tell the audience that next month we would be taking another theme. We'll be looking at employment for people with disability as a theme. And it would be on the last Friday of July. So we'll be sending out notifications and registration and all that, but just give you a heads up right now. So thank you very much, all of you, and thanks for joining. Shubhratri.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir.